We're
So
going
this
live,
is
by the way. And we're live.
Oh, yeah,
And
of
we're
course.
live. So,
Makes sense.
what's up, everybody? Welcome to another Let's Talk Live. I know this is random. I do apologize. Had some technical difficulties earlier this week when I was going to do the whole other thing, and my webcam decided to die like right then, and my sound system died right then. So, yeah. I just had to spend money that I didn't want to spend. But if you're looking at the screen right now, I got Shadow Fox with me. Shadow Fox, how you doing, man?
What's going on? I am not Jay. I am. He is not streaming. He is the stream.
Yeah, I am the stream. So, we were gonna just play something at random, and I was thinking fighters, and Phantom Breaker I have not tried yet. I have not tried. Fighting EX Layer I have tried. I kind of regret that purchase, but I'm gonna try to stick with that one. I'm gonna try to stick with that one. Blaze Blue Central Fiction have not tried yet.
Haven't tried that one either.
Yeah. So, and I don't have my.
Never heard of Smash Brothers. Never heard of Dragon Ball Fighters. Never heard of Blaze Blue Cross Tag Battle. I mean, all those are good. Actually.
Yeah. I mean, gosh, why did I pick these games up? Yeah, I actually like this one. Shaolin versus Wu-Tang, Eastern Heroes. I actually like it. I hope the second one gets brought to the So the second one's out on Steam, I think. But I hope
that should have happened a long time ago. That should have happened in like the 5th generation.
Yeah, but if you're a fan of Shaw Brothers and Kung Fu Theater and the Wu-Tang series, you will love this. You will love this game. Now it doesn't have online, but
I mean,
it's good, but it ain't for those the people that like this. You know, are people of a certain age of a certain age group.
And if you're gonna play multiplayer with that, it's probably gonna be locally anyway, so you can laugh about it or whatever.
Yeah, because most people don't know who the hell these people are.
Yep.
The only people you're gonna notice is Bruce Lee, Donnie Yen, and Jackie Chan. Everybody else, you don't know who the people are. I do. But
the epic beard stroke from hell. Like, you gotta know.
You gotta I love that dude. That dude was awesome. But let's see. So eeny, meeny, miny. Hey Mo, Samurai Showdown?
Works for me.
Samurai Showdown it is. So we just gonna wax poetic about just random silly stuff. First things first. Google. And we're gonna talk about this in depth on Sunday, but I just saw that today, the whole Stadia thing, and I'm gonna look into it some more, but
well, I mean, if they're going to refund people, that sounds okay, because it was a subscription service. It wasn't something that you buy and then you keep forevermore.
Yeah. Well, my question is, because I hate to be that guy, but I kind of saw this coming. But because when you can't explain it, when you got Phil Harrison, number one, we got Phil Harrison.
Yep.
When you can't explain something. Like, because people were confused for like the first 2 years anyway. Then all they kept doing was throwing out buzzwords. It's going to be able to go to 8K. I'm like, dude, we can't even get 4K stabilized, and you're talking about 8K.
The sad part is they're Google. That's what the sad part is. If anybody's going to be capable of doing it, it should be Google.
Yeah. Well, you can if you stick with it.
Yeah.
The problem is they don't stick with it. So
Google doesn't stick to anything. They jump to the next thing so quick. Google Glass, anybody like that's?
I mean, I like Google Glass. I like Google Wave. Hell, we know how much we love Google Plus.
Yes, we did. We love that a lot. And Duo and everything else that they've gone to. They've switched so many different products. It's just,
which is why I was like, I kind of saw this coming, because I was like, dude, y'all can't even explain this, and you can't explain it, and you don't really have a, should I do survival?
Yeah, do survival.
So you're trying to do streaming. Number one, in the States, that's stupid, because as me and you both know, being in IT, in America, the IT infrastructure sucks. So
Google knows this more than anybody.
Yeah. So them trying to do that was like, Are y'all serious right now?
I think their knowledge for how stupid the American customer base is overshadowed the failure of our infrastructure as far as internet goes. I think they were like, well, they'll overlook all the issues, and because if we just say enough buzzwords, they'll buy in because they bought everything else Google. So why wouldn't they buy this?
And to be fair, people did buy into it because that's the first thing we heard when we saw that first what was it, Stadia Connect. I'm like, dude, they hadn't said nothing. Oh man, this is gonna be 8K. I'm like, dude, that doesn't make sense. Oh man, you just hating. No, that literally doesn't make sense.
I'm just like, how do you develop the games? They did answer that, but then I'm like, so every studio has to buy a data center worth of servers? I don't. Yeah. Like, well, this is the Google Stadia development kit. I'm like, that's a rack of servers, bro.
Yeah. That's not a. Yeah, that's not a. Now, let me ask you this: do you think it would have been better if they would have came out with an actual console first?
I think so. I think it should have been. It basically should have been an Xbox Series S, basically. Like no disk drive, no nothing. Like here's the box. These are the games. Sign in with your Stadia account and get all the stuff. And it basically just would have been another Xbox Live, basically. Game Pass, whatever you want to call it, and then it would just be built into the system, and there would be nothing else. And then that way, you still have the box that you're selling to people, quote unquote, so they think that their stuff is on the box. Basically, you'll be doing the Dietrich move with the Infinium Labs Phantom, if anybody remembers that vaporware. But that was like the first system to come out. Jesus Christ, that's a lot of blood. That's the first system to come out talking about, hey, you'll be able to, download or stream your games kind of situation. That was like one of the first systems way back in. It was in between the 5th and 6th generation. It was rumored during the 4th. But, yeah, that could have happened in the correct way. It's just the smart people in the room obviously weren't able to tell the people with the money and to make the decisions what would happen. Because I'm fairly certain there are people much smarter than me and you that stood in the room and said this isn't going to work. Yeah. And unfortunately, they didn't have enough clout.
Yeah, my only problem with that was, like Andre said, when they first did the first little show, they're like, this would have worked perfect if they would have had Google Plus to go with it.
Yeah, because then you got a whole environment to share your games to and all that. That would have helped a lot, actually. I think they would have had to change a lot of the rules, though. Like you would have to create a Google Plus gamer account. I don't think the whole real name and all the other kind of stuff would have worked too well.
No, it wouldn't.
And everybody isn't gaming as a business, so you couldn't have a brand account. Like it would just have to be like a gamer account, because so Joe Blow 9-year-old can sign into Google without getting all his information stolen, or some weird guy from God knows where asking for weird pictures. So that kind of stuff, it just needed to be a situation where Google Plus will integrate properly. Basically their own Miiverse, but neither here nor there. And we know what happened on Miiverse too. I mean, that first day was ridiculous. It's like, we can share pictures we draw. I know what picture I'm drawing, and I'm like, Jesus. I think that right there, Nintendo probably hired like an extra 1,000 people just to deal with that on the day.
Yeah, well, they had to, because remember the guy in Japan that got caught trying to, because that's why they had to get rid of, what was it, to take the off of one of those servers. They had to take the online off of one of those servers.
Yep.
Services they had. Was it Flipnote or was it?
Yeah, it was Flipnote. It was either Flipnote or I think it was Flipnote.
Yeah.
Because you get the sharing, and then people can see images, and that's kind of rough.
Yeah. So yeah, because that's why I remember when they said Miiverse was ending, bro. That month, people lost their
They
mind.
went in.
Yeah.
Who is this? This is who is this you're fighting?
Yoshitora from 6.
Is he prepared? Does he have enough weapons?
Nah, not really.
Like, you only got 2 hands, bro. Okay.
Come on, bro. Come on. So, while we're on the subject of fighters, and because I have a love-hate relationship with Namco Bandai, look, man, they have pissed me off so much with like the whole Soul Calibur situation, and now after that direct, and they finally bringing Tales of Symphonia, I'm like, y'all should be bringing Tales of Graces, Tales of Symphonia, because you already did Tales of Vesperia, which Tales of Vesperia is pretty good on the Switch. I'm not gonna lie. But I'm like, this should have been done years ago. This is one of the reasons why I will never forgive Reggie for sitting there saying we know what our fans want when people were begging him to bring Tales of Graces over to the Wii because it came out in Japan, and that game is awesome. Yeah, that game because the HD version came out on PS3, and that game is awesome.
You know what that was? It was Dawn of the New World didn't do good. So
yeah, well, like, Dawn of the New World shouldn't have been made.
Yeah.
If we're being completely fair here, because they were making Vesperia. The C team made Dawn of the New World. It wasn't even a complete game.
Yeah.
Like there was so much stuff missing out of that game. I'm like, dude, what the world is going on? You can't travel the world. You have to it goes to the spot and then you go do it wasn't fun. Yeah. It had its moments, but it just wasn't. It didn't feel like it didn't feel.
Game should.
Yeah, it just didn't feel like it.
At this point, I'm like, I'll take a HD 2D of Fantasia. Just bring Fantasia back.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, everybody in the chat, just in case if y'all are fans of the Tales anime stuff, Fantasia and Symphonia are available for purchase on Amazon. They redid them, so you don't have to spend $500 to get the the old version from Gideon. Because Fantasia just came out today. I just got mine today, so oh no, you don't.
Yeah, I love the fighting games. I just don't know. I don't know the situation with Google. We'll see what happens with them, but Namco will just be Namco. They're going to continue to waste their money.
This is what I don't get about Namco. Like it's not like they have a bad relationship with them. I could see if it was a bad relationship, but the problem is they have a good relationship with them. You let some people tell it they the ones that actually made Smash Brothers. I just got into an argument with somebody about that. I'm like, no, dude, Sora made Smash, not them, but whatever.
Yep. They were just, he was the director and he's like, I'm gonna build this game. These are all the things that need to be made. Build that. I'll piece it all together. Yeah, that's kind of how that goes. But that was like that one situation. I forgot what game it was. It was like it was like a B team studio in Texas somewhere. They worked on like 2% of a game and they're complaining about that we didn't get compensated properly. I'm like, bro, you're lucky that you be a part of it, but okay. Like, it's just, like some of these studios, man. I'm like, I gotta get y'all repertoire up before y'all start complaining. Like, I'm looking at some of these studios like, man, y'all have made like 0.5 of a game and you're asking for a full salary. Like, I don't know. That's strange to me.
Well, the other thing too is like because and I know I had not talked about it on the podcast, and that's like the whole contractor situation they got going on. Yeah. I read a little bit more about it today. I'm like, dude, that guy was so stupid because, dude, if you're a contractor and people who work contracts know this, if you have an issue, you have to take it up with your company, and your company goes and talks to them. You don't talk to them.
You don't. Yeah, that they're there to mediate. You have a
Yeah.
contract with somebody that's not them.
Yeah. So the guy, it came out that the guy tried to talk about unionization with Doug Bowser. Doug Bowser doesn't know who you are, dude.
Oh my god! Like you need to talk to your contracting company and talk about unionization. But at the
Yeah.
same point in time, if you're a contractor by default, like a lot of contracting companies by default, by the name, by them being contractors, they have waived certain alienable rights. The
Yeah.
reason why they're contractors to begin with is because getting a real employee is going to cost more money because you got to take care of that employee.
Yeah.
So is this one of those things? I
Well,
don't know why people think that's
well, I
yes,
think,
workers' rights is great, but
but
that's the
it
nature
depends on.
of the beast.
Yeah, but it depends on your job too.
Yep.
Like, bro, it's different if he's actually working at Nintendo. That's different.
Yep.
The problem is he's not. And then on top of that, it came out that he was the one that was leaking information to websites.
Wow.
So that's why he got fired. So I'm like, wait a minute. So hold on. You're saying, and look, I get the whole unionization thing, but from the articles I'm reading, I'm like, something ain't right with this story, man. Some just ain't right. Because, like, I know, because you have to read your contract when you work a contract job, because everything will be in your contract. If you have an issue like that, you have to take it up with your company, and your company goes and talks to the prime, which is the person you work for.
But you know how that goes. This is the whole Wii U saga all over again. Because journalists would get to the bottom of the story and say, hey, this is a contractor. Let's find out who the name of the company is that contracted him. And let's study their business practices with said contractors. And then the headline wouldn't be Nintendo anymore. It would be that contracting company. But we all know Nintendo drives clicks. And some contractor name we don't know of that contracts with Nintendo doesn't generate clicks.
Yeah. But that's the part that I've read about it. I know it's still going on, but I'm like, okay, well, if this is what happened, then that's it's a messy situation from what I've read about. It's a messy situation, but at the same time, I'm like, dude, you're a contractor.
Yeah.
I'm like,
This is one of those situations where, even though it's not your responsibility, the best thing to do, bare minimum, if not just for PR, is to just say, hey, look, we do not tolerate this. We make a public statement about these certain things we do not. We believe in workers' rights and all this other kind of stuff. Like, they have to say all of that stuff just because it's the right thing to do, even though all the details are wrong. So, and I hate to say it, but yeah, you have to assume blame of something that you didn't do.
Yeah, because I was catching up on that. It was on NintendoLife.com. I think is the where they went back to that. I'm like, what? I'm like, okay, I still don't get. I understand he was upset, but I'm like, at the same time, I'm like, dude, you're a contractor. Did you not read your contract? Did you not go to your company? If it, because that's what you have to do. You can't just like, oh crap. I hate a Moxa. But yeah, you can't just do that. You just can't go just because,
I don't know who follows me or that's on this channel or not, but I would imagine that some of these people follow me, so they already know this is coming anyway. But yeah, so yeah, quick little surprise there. Yeah, we'll talk about that later.
Yeah.
But yeah, so interesting things. Like, Wii U is trending for like 3 weeks in a row, I think. Which is insane. And Xenoblade Chronicles 2 is trending today.
Oh, okay. Can we talk about that for a quick little hot minute, man?
Yeah.
Okay, look, I'm not gonna sit here and pretend like the main Xenoblade Chronicles 2 game is the best game in the world. I'm not gonna sit here and pretend that. I do not like though the idea that it was so fan servicey that it was just horrible. I'm like, no, it wasn't.
No,
it wasn't. And I like it, especially if you played through Torna. You played through Torna. Torna didn't have any of that fan service stuff at all, and even the stuff that was in the fan servicey stuff that was in the main game was not bad by any stretch of the imagination. If you didn't like the artwork of how they drew some of the characters, okay, fine, that's fine, but that doesn't make the game garbage.
That's another one of those situations where the loudest person in the room screaming this didn't play the game or isn't a true fan of the series anyway, because Xenoblade Chronicles 3 isn't exactly innocent.
No, it's not. It is not at all. It is not.
Not even with some of the notable spoiler characters that will be revealed to some people that maybe a little bit memorable to you. Like, they make it a point to show it off, like, and in certain camera angles and whatnot. And I'm like, so you can't even really.
That was one of my main arguments. Like, some of the people that would complain, I'm sitting there like, but you just posted like 10 back shots of Uni and Senna.
Yeah, and you can literally be half naked at the end of Xenoblade Chronicles X. So. And like your whole team can, everybody but the girl. Well, in Japan, she could be naked too. Damn near.
Yeah, well, the funny thing about it is like there's a guy on Twitter that I love his work. I think he's a Blood Lobster. I think is his name. Mm-hmm. He's going back through Xenoblade Chronicles X, and like his whole team is in on the swimsuit stuff.
Yeah, bunny topper suit for the goal.
Yeah, and nobody's mad at him. They're not saying that game is childish. I'm like, really? So I'm like, that was my whole problem with that. I'm like, look, I get it. If you don't like it because of that, fine. But swimsuits have always been a thing in Xenoblade Chronicles games. Always. They're not going to stop either. So if you're mad about artwork, I'm like, okay, that's subjective.
Like, so you're upset about, I hate Rex because he's just blah blah blah, and then all these cartoon characters and they're so upfront and blah blah blah, and they're showing all this and all that, and I'm like, a lot of their stories are freaking dark.
Yeah,
like these people don't like who they are. Like, it's bad. Like, if you actually paid attention to the game, there is nothing about there's nothing that the average child will understand or the average thirsty teenager would be able to grasp without some experience outside of their house. So it's like a lot of React lords are going to say whatever they want to say and then go from there. And they're like, well, it's just childish because they show blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, man, what are you doing? Like get out of here. And then when, you show like a beach volleyball game, you ain't got nothing to say. Yeah. And you see, you got scantily clad Mario characters because they're playing tennis or whatever. That's okay. Like, it's only in a game that is garnering attention that probably should be, because JRPGs haven't been a thing with Nintendo since Super Nintendo and maybe GameCube. You can count some of it.
I would say GameCube was the last real big one. Was GameCube?
Yeah, and I believe it's still Bandai Namco who owns the rights to Xenosaga. I think that's Chanel asking in the chat.
Yeah, I think it's Bandai. Yeah, I think they still have it because
they still have the rights to it.
Because people have been asking for like a remaster, HD remaster, and Bandai Namco ain't saying nothing.
Yeah, and Square still owns Gears, I believe.
Yeah,
so that's a lot of walking around to go.
First of all, Square might throw that to Team Asano and put that in HD 2D. So
I mean,
don't be surprised.
Might as well.
The way they acting now, because they're redoing Dragon Quest 3 and 4 that way, right?
That's gonna look good.
Yeah, HD 2D. So
that's gonna look real good.
Yeah, but let me get out of this one. Let's go to. I really wish they would have put the group thing on the front page. But yeah, that was
you with your folders. I see you.
It would have been better if they would have did it. I'm not even gonna get into that.
Ooh. We're gonna talk about features.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. Okay.
On console firmware.
Here's my problem with this entire generation. Why in the hell ain't nobody changed their OS?
Only Microsoft's doing it.
Yeah,
they just updated. They just updated Xbox OS last month, I think. They're the only people doing it. Like they did the sweeping changes to 360 over the years.
But I think other than that, like Sony and Nintendo have not changed theirs.
Oh,
I'm like, dude, change the flipping OS.
They're like, we don't want to do work. Why do that? You want dark mode or you want light mode? Which one you want?
I won't think now. I want to put my photos on the front page.
Like that thing that you could do on 3DS.
And the Wii U, you know. Oh, my bad. The Wii U.
I don't know. We don't know if we have the resources for that. That would be a database on your OS, and we want it to be real lightweight. So
all I know is if I'm an exec at Nintendo, I'm just laughing because I'm like, we just basically told all of y'all that y'all were lying.
Mm-hmm.
Every last one of y'all that had an issue with the Wii U, we just proved that y'all some liars.
Because y'all want all those features back now. The system that y'all ignored, and now you're playing this one without all these. You still bought the system. You're still playing all the games, so you do not mind all this stuff being missing. So
the only thing I wanted that they didn't have is Miiverse. That's the only thing I want back is Miiverse.
Miiverse.
All right, so Shaolin versus Wu-Tang. This is actually on PC and Switch. I don't think it's on PlayStation or Xbox. I could be wrong, but I don't think it is. But basically PC and Switch. The second game is actually out on Steam. So some of these
do
people,
a little foreshadowing. Is it on Steam? If it is on Steam, then maybe, just maybe I'll play it on the go.
Yeah, I mean, because I know the first two. I know the first two are on Steam. So Jim Kelly, Bolo Yang from Bloodsport, Bruce Lee. My favorite is he couldn't use the actual names, so he had to use their fighting style as their name. So
yeah,
go figure.
That's smart.
Yeah, 36 Chambers, Gordon Liu.
Yep, long fists.
Yeah, Wuxi. This is Jet Li. This is one of Jet Li's first movies. Chuck Norris.
Yep. The Snake.
I can't say his name, but he's from Five Deadly Venoms.
Yeah.
Actually, this is the same guy. That guy's actually the same guy. Because Armor of God was with that whole Shaw Brothers group of movies that came out from like 77 to like 83. Because they were all in Five Element Ninjas and Armor of God, Five Deadly Venoms, and I forgot the other one. Curse of the Blood Rain Sword. Do not know who that guy is. That is I can't remember the guy's name now. It was right to my tongue.
Is that Bloodsport? I think so.
That's Van Damme.
Yeah.
Ninja I was not done. God dang it. Ninja was actually not a bad movie, but I didn't like it. I didn't like Ninja. I thought it was stupid. I don't know who that guy is. I know who that guy. That movie's actually pretty good. 8 Diagram Fist is actually pretty good.
Okay.
This guy is scary. Wow. Yeah, he's scary. If you see his movie,
epic.
That dude is scary because he's the dude that's always doing the beard stuff and beating everybody down. Talking about in his younger days, he could have defeated him with ease. He just killed the dude in 2 moves.
Yep.
So, let's see. That's not Gordon Liu. I forgot who that guy is. Chinese chess boxing and Drunken Fist, the first one.
Yeah.
Where is Jackie? I know Jackie's in here.
Bottom right, maybe.
No, that's Jackie. Here it is. That's Jackie.
Okay, Drunken Fist.
Yeah, that's Jackie. Where is? And that's Donnie Yen. Lo Lee. I do not know who that guy is. I know who that guy is because I've seen that movie. That movie's kind of jacked. That's the movie where they do be taking out people's eyes and stuff.
Yeah.
Weird. That was a weird movie.
In the Capoeira guy, isn't he the guy that got killed by the guy with the long nails? Like he had the super long fingernails.
Yeah. See that? Yeah, that was a Wu-Tang movie. Yeah. All right. Did that guy. Five Element Fist. I don't think I ever seen that movie. I did see her movie. Get back out of there. I think that's about all the people that I know. So
okay. And so the background? Are the backgrounds movie sets?
Yeah, they're movie sets.
Okay.
So I'm gonna go to Harlem because come on, man. And the soundtrack, if you like 70s music, the soundtrack is pretty cool. I actually like 70s music, so because soundtracks back then in the blaxploitation kung fu theater era were off the chain. Of course, they told you the whole movie if you listen to the lyrics, but like the song should have came with a spoiler alert.
I like how this looks. This is like mid 90s 3DO. But it's in 3D. Like, you know what I mean? Like 3DO had the digitized graphics or whatnot.
Okay, I can't remember my buttons. Oh, there we go. All right, there we go. Mama. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, Mr. Muay Thai guy.
This is like super indie fighting game. I love this.
Yeah, it is. It's actually pretty good once you get the hang of it. Yeah, I'm gonna lose this one.
Yeah, counters. Okay.
Yeah, you got counters in here. I forgot my buttons. You got counters. You got a weapon move. Dude, you ain't got to tell my business out there. You ain't put my business out there like that. You really ain't got to put my business out there like that. All right. It's been a while. All right. Jeez. Let me go back to.
It's part of fighting games. That's what it's all about.
Yeah. That's why I'm hoping we get that. I'm hoping the second one comes because the second one looks. If you have a chance, it's on YouTube. The second trailer is actually on YouTube.
Okay.
If you get a chance, it's give it I think it's like a 2-minute trailer. It's actually pretty good. So give it a shot when you have a chance.
Look at it now. If I don't want to kill my bandwidth here, but well, shouldn't kill my bandwidth, but
I kind of wish I could find the soundtrack somewhere.
That's what I was thinking more than anything else. The soundtrack probably.
Oh, nice with the knee. Is Judas effective?
Oh yeah. It's like they did the shading a little bit better.
Yeah. You see, man, I'm gonna tell my mom on you. There you go.
Yeah, I'm gonna take a look at this one and see how it looks here.
Dark Void, we're supposed to be upset and probably boycotting at some point. But it's all $70 miss.
Yeah.
I'm gonna whoop your ass like I did in that damn Coliseum.
And I just thought about that. Isn't that the first $70 Switch game? I just thought about that.
Yeah, and it ain't even Nintendo doing it. It's Bethesda.
Wow. I mean, to be fair, I think that's what was pushing Sony. To be honest with you, like, because 2K was just like, you know what, we're doing it, and they're like NBA 2K before they even told you what the prices of PS5 and Series X games were. They were like, our game will be $70. I'm like, Jesus.
Well, that's one thing I will say. I like if you're going to be transparent about it, because let's be real. Most of these games, we should have been paying 60, 70, $80. But the problem is people keep doing this whole microtransaction. If you're going to charge me if you're going to charge me 70 or 80 or 90, we're not doing microtransactions. And I don't think developers understand that. Like, you can't charge somebody $70 and then say, okay, we got these microtransactions. You got to pay for this. You got a $93 worth of DLC. Nobody's doing that, Koei Tecmo. Nobody's doing that. So
the graphics look way better in this one.
In the second one, because this one, I think he did this one by himself, if I'm not mistaken. The guy is on Twitter. Dark Void. This is Shaolin versus Wu-Tang. Eastern Heroes. It's on PC. The first and second game is on PC. Only the first one is on Switch.
Yeah, it looks pretty good.
Yeah. So, it's one of those games like it's a love letter to like the whole 70s kung fu theater blaxploitation era of movies. So a lot of these characters, if you grew up watching those or you've watched any of those old films, because they did redo them a few years ago, and they called it Dragon Dynasty. A lot of those movies were in that whole Dragon Dynasty collection. So if you were actually able to find some of those, they didn't do all of them, but if you were able to find some of those, you probably looked up. But that's basically what this is. So, and I'm not going to embarrass myself anymore. So,
that game looks fun.
Yeah, it is fun, but like I said, I'm one of those people like because I don't have a problem playing couch co-op, and that game's couch co-op. It doesn't have an online.
Hold on, how dare the graphics look rudimentary? That game runs like trash. Like it's not running at the acceptable frame rate with the appropriate visual fidelity.
I wonder when digital.
I don't know what fidelity means, but fidelity.
Yeah. Fidelity Investments. They're good for your 401k. So we're going to talk about MK11.
Sure, I love MK11. I'd hate that we, for those that didn't hear us earlier on, we were going to play Mortal Kombat 11 together. But like an idiot, I archived this game. I don't know what I archived it for. I think because I was moving SD cards around. And so I needed to download the 26 gig patch to be able to play again, and I wasn't waiting for that.
Yeah, so, that was going to be a while. So
yeah, definitely in this room because I need to move. Just strange. Like the computer that I'm streaming from right now is Wi-Fi and it's 5 gigahertz. I guess the radio in it is stronger than the one in the Switch. Like I have to be a little bit closer to the access point somewhere in the house to pick up 5 gigahertz. I don't know why, but for whatever reason,
that makes sense. That actually makes sense.
It's the same thing in my son's room upstairs. Like his PC gets 4 bars because I guess the antenna is stronger or whatever, and PS5 just on struggle. It's like, oh Jesus, like so yeah, Ethernet for him in that room.
I do need to get another Google Wi-Fi thing.
Yeah, in the loft is not a problem because that's where that's like it just sits right up there as an access point, so that's not an issue. But this is the only corner of the house where I don't get full range. And the 5 gigahertz is short throw anyway. You just have to make a good estimate and do it. I did not do a full wireless survey like I should have with maximum coverage of 5 gigahertz.
How dare you?
I didn't factor in this thick wood desk right here being a problem.
How dare you?
I just have to add another access point. I'll probably put one outside in the mudroom further out here, and that'll probably give me better coverage.
But Classic Towers. I'll do Classic Towers.
Katana looks great in this game.
She does. How dare you sexualize her?
No. I like the fact that they, she's actually Asian in here, like because before, foreign or American girl pretending to be Asian girl as the actor or the motion capture actor.
How dare you sexualize her?
Yeah, sure. I'll say the same thing about Jax and Jackie Cage too. I could always just sexualize Goro.
So I'm just doing the regular one, so we can just go through this. But so my question is, since this uses that whole Injustice engine, why not bring Injustice 2?
Yeah, and so people have been talking about that, and so I was watching a video guy. He was playing in Injustice 1 and 2 on Steam Deck, and they run just fine. But for whatever reason, they're not listed as compatible for Steam Deck on Steam.
Are you serious?
It's just something about, for whatever reason, I guess they just completely forgot about that game being relevant, and nobody went back to go check to make sure to make it legitimate. So it's just one of those weird things. It's something I think studios tend to move on, and they move on so quick. They're just like, all support, screw that. We don't care. Man, this Katana's my girl.
And I'm getting toe up right now.
But like competitively, I will probably prefer Jackie though.
Oh no.
I think
I'm gonna die.
I think Injustice 2 was not on Wii U. I think just the first Injustice.
Just the first one, because that was one of the ones that was a launch game.
Yeah. And Dark Void, I may have to cover that on the Shadowcast, where you're talking about what's supposedly going to be next generation chip. My only issue with that is you probably seen some discussion of me talking about it on Twitter. So I don't like the assumption that chip is part of the SDK. Because the SDK leak doesn't mention it at all. It's just conjecture from that Twitter guy that's been talking about this since 2021. So and if you go to any of the threads, like one dude tried to link me to one of the threads on the one of those Nintendo rumor threads or whatever, and he linked me directly to the thread, and then it makes the same leap as well. It doesn't say, hey, look, well, we found this thread talking about this chip in the SDK. They did not. So it's not there. So I'll give more detailed information on that later. Because, how is her head still on?
And this is why I don't like doing fatalities.
Oh, this man. Is better. Yeah, they're way better.
This is way better than doing a fatality.
Nintendo's kitty, though.
What are you talking about? This had no more heroes on it.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Gotcha.
Yeah. I've had all the little talks with people talking about the graphics of this game and stuff like that. And I'm like, dude, I like 11 watts, bro. Like, you have to be, for the same reason 800p is acceptable and 40 frames per second is acceptable in some games on another platform. You have to understand that a chipset that existed way before it wanted to operate on battery life longer than 5 minutes. So you have to make some type of concessions because you want to play this game offline with a cartridge as much as possible, probably with somebody else next to you to play co-op, and you don't want to hear the fan, which, you definitely will hear the fan on any other system you play this on, to include PC.
Oh crap, I forgot to finish it. Screw it.
Yeah, man.
Like even are you talking about the Switch Pro?
The Switch Pro, yeah, right. Yeah.
My sources, man. My sources.
The Switch Pro would have the NVN API and not a Linux API. Let's put it that
sources,
way.
Man. My sources have told me that the Switch Pro will be coming out in December of this year.
And somebody on Twitter mentioned that too. Like, they were like, "Hey, so these guys that are these sources all the time, like, have you physically seen this stuff?"
Nope.
And they're like, "Well, I have a source." Wait, but you're claiming to be the source.
Yeah.
So as you claiming to be the source, you're saying that your source saw it. Okay, so did your source physically see it? Well, they're really trusted.
Did you or did you not?
And people have conversations online. Like, I've been on podcasts, and then when they get offline or whatever, and then they start talking, they're like, "Hey, so what's the rumors on this, blah blah blah," and they start talking, and I'm like, that doesn't sound right. And I'm like, so you're supposed to be a reputable source of information? Yeah, you do a lot of collab videos with other popular YouTubers and stuff like that, but what you just said is not even remotely accurate, and therefore that chip is not going to work. Like, just all those kind of things. They're saying stuff like, at one point in time, they were talking about, they were saying that, hey, another chipset was gonna be there or whatever, and that it was gonna work. And I'm like, those two chips are not even in the same family, so backwards compatibility with code is going to be an issue. That was one of the first things I was thinking of. So I'm like, if at least even the current rumors right now, at least they're they're accurate with regard to, hey, can you port code? Like your code should really be the same, and then existing code will still run. So at least that's there. But some of that other stuff, I'm like, y'all throwing out SOCs that they won't even be able to read the stuff that's currently on the system right now. So they're, people just, whatever sounds good to them, they'll do. And they're like, oh, DLSS 1.0. And I'm like, I don't, bro, if they're going to be working on this, if they've been working on this since Switch came out, which was probably 2017 or so, they sit on it. They have their established technology that they want to use. They stick to it, and then they see which way the wind blows, and they hold on to it and go from there. And then they update their SDK right before launch. Like, it's not. And that's one of the things I think is hilarious anytime I hear somebody, well, it's kind of like, I don't know, the Switch hardware is kind of old in the tooth. And I'm like, all hardware is old in the tooth. The Switch hardware.
It comes out. You're not getting the brand new stuff. Like, even when the PS5, as much as people want to claim PS5 and Series X was brand new, no, it wasn't.
No. PS4 Pro is old in the tooth. Nobody's talking about that. It's still the same 2013 chipset. But they released it in 2016? Yeah. I forget which one came out before Switch. It was either the Xbox One X or the PS4 Pro. I think the PS4 Pro came out in 2016, and the Xbox One X came out in 2017. If I'm not mistaken. I'll have to let me verify. Let me not get to line here. Figure out which one came first.
God dang it. I will not lie. I do like Fujin's design. I do not like that though. That hurt my feelings on an emotional level.
Honestly, I've always liked all of Fujin's designs. To be honest with you, I've always thought he was a cool character.
Oh, he was. That's why I don't understand why they never brought him back until now.
Yeah.
Which also reminds me, hey guys in the chat, do y'all remember Mortal Kombat Legends? Should they bring those back? Personally, I think they should. Just me thinking out loud. Because I did like Shaolin Monks. Sub-Zero, not too much. I mean, Mortal Kombat Mythologies.
Sub-Zero Mythology was rough.
That game was broken. That game was broken.
Boy, those platforming sections.
Man, now I know people love to talk about Dark Souls and all that. No. We're not going to sit up here and act like Mortal Kombat Mythology Sub-Zero was not one of the hardest games.
Man,
ever.
I was done when there was a level that I was struggling to get through, and there's a gap you clearly can't jump across. And then I figured out that you could slide in midair, glitch, and then jump. And I'm like I hate
how?
This game.
Yeah, like how?
I hate it so much. Yeah, the Xbox One X came out in 2017, so the PS4 Pro obviously came out in 2016. Yeah, that's accurate.
Oh, so that's what I was doing wrong. Okay. Oh, I'm never going to finish that. All right. I was going the wrong way. Okay.
It's kind of cool that they have those obscure brutalities in there. Like some of those requirements are ridiculous. That kind of reminds me of the old fatalities from back in the day where you got to be 4 jumps away, exactly 4 jumps away. Like you must be doing a combo with all kicks. Press block once.
Yeah.
Like then be in sweep range.
Yeah, like what in the world? Like, how are you supposed to get that? Okay,
yeah, Dark Voice said that. He said he asked them directly and they wouldn't respond. Yeah, that
sounds about right.
Pretty much what it is. And anybody else that says, yeah, dude, the Switch Pro is real. It's coming. And I'm like, oh, okay. So what does it look like? Oh, well, my sources. And okay, well, what's your source? What do they say? You know, they're like, well, look, they got these. They did the leak, and then you can see the new chipset, blah blah blah. And I'm like,
And if your
chipset,
source is that Bloomberg guy, you are really barking
yeah.
up the wrong tree.
And when you sit there and you look at the chipset, and I'm like, this is the same family. This is just either an overclock or underclock of the same thing. And I'm like, this is probably not what you. It's probably gonna be a Switch Mini. And sure enough, Switch Lite came out.
Yep.
And the OG Switch, or I mean, now the new Switch, HHC 01-001 ended up coming out. So that was your Switch Pro. That was your
basically.
You know, then they tried to do that thing again, and we knew what happened after that. Then it was OLED. So
yeah.
Oh well, 2020 happened. So then all this. No, y'all been saying this since 2016.
Yeah, that was talking about Switch Pro before.
Y'all been wrong before COVID.
Yeah.
Y'all been wrong before COVID. You saying Nintendo know the future? They're like, well, since COVID is coming, let's not make a Switch Pro because we're gonna in 2016 when they're making these rumors, we're not gonna make a Switch Pro because in 2020 there's gonna be a global calamity. So we gotta, yeah. That is actually that would be a good. That's a good idea. Actually, a Switch Lite OLED that would actually be kind of cool. People hate on Switch Lite, man. That D-pad is what's up though. I'm gonna be playing all of the indie games with that. Like this, that Switch Lite disappears quite a bit in this house. Yeah, he said he wasn't being a butthole. He asked a legitimate question. Yeah. Yeah, and he's right. He said they do more damage. They do more damage to the fan by getting their hopes up. Yeah, and that's correct.
Yeah.
And why do you need clicks that bad to where you need to talk about something like that? Like
because man, it's about these YouTube monies.
I get it. I get you're gonna have your Dreamcast guy and your Super Metal Dave that are just gonna, and as long as you don't take them seriously. And if you like listening to their voice for whatever reason, even though they get all kind of facts mixed up all the time, that's okay if you understand what it is. It's just entertainment, right? At the end of the day, right? But for people to take on the role, because they're not denying when somebody says, "Oh, you're a known source and all this," and when people come out with these articles and say, "Well, they've been right in the past and they're a great source of this, blah, 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 and known leaker so-and-so or known insider so-and-so," they don't rebuke any of that when it's said about them. So why y'all be way wrong? And y'all know this stuff isn't coming out and y'all don't fan the flames. Why don't y'all just like, look, okay, before this gets out of control, I don't really know all the ins and outs of this.
I'm making an educated guess.
Yes, temper your expectations. Yeah. I've had my ear to the ground and I've heard some people talking, and this may happen, but maybe not.
Well, I mean, Andre's been more on point than most of these actual leakers.
Oh, Nostradamus for sure.
Yeah,
for sure. He throws them out there, and I'm like, bro, like your batting average is a little high right now. Like,
yeah,
you just scroll through some of his videos. I'm like, that's a game. That came out like a couple of weeks after he said it. Like,
and then you come to find out that like Capcom and Konami was following him.
Bro, it's rough. And here we sit, year of our Lord, 2022, Street Fighter 6, just all this, man. And now I wish that I did do that podcast on him, so some of the stuff that I would have talked about on there would have been included. Because I damn sure, like day one, I want Evil Ryu. Like, I need that. Like, I don't want a secret character. I want you to announce him as a legit day one. He's there.
Ain't Collector got some moves on, but my thing is, I don't think it's coming to anywhere. Well, I know they ain't. Here's what I don't understand. If you're using the same engine, right? Why can't it come to, every system? Because you would think that Capcom's like money.
Yeah. But and that's the thing too. They don't like to do their job. Like they're a publisher and they don't. This is what I said. This is what I said ad nauseum on Twitter. Like, I made my threads and people were like, well, this didn't come to this system because specs. And I'm like, Have you heard of the iPhone?
Like the specs don't mean nothing, man. I'm sorry.
Have you heard of the PSP? Have you heard of the Vita? Notice how like whole ass PS4 games came to PSP and Vita. Like, I don't know what else you want me to tell you. And the Vita, for all intents and purposes, I'm just going to say computation-wise, just on CPU. I'm not even going to talk about graphics, just CPU alone. The Switch shits all over the Vita. And all kinds of PS4 games came to Vita. I don't know what else to tell you. And they look great on that system. So if there's time, money, and effort, and talent, it can be done. Because you just, all you're doing is rearrange your art assets for the same engine. You're going to a different platform, so your assets don't have to be as high. Just make sure those dedicated assets for that platform are there, and you don't have to worry about any issues. So that's the bulk of the problems now. Because as you can see right now, we're looking at this Unreal Engine 4 game right here running. This is the custom Mortal Kombat 4 engine or whatever.
Yeah.
With your net code.
Yeah, rollback net code. Yeah, rollback net code.
All that stuff's in here in this game, and all they did was adjust the art assets accordingly. The game still plays the same. There's nothing really missing from the core gameplay experience there. That is true for the majority of these modern game engines out here. If that can't be possible for your engine isn't modern, and you shouldn't be proud of it.
No. Or you have a custom engine like Luminous or something that doesn't work anyway.
Exactly. It only works for the demo PC that you built for your studio.
Yeah, that's because it damn sure don't work on console.
Yep.
I mean, that's why I'm scared for Forspoken.
Yep. And so, like, Gwen, I heard what he said over here. He's talking about Virtual's Panic Button. No, I don't like that either, because that's an excuse. This is a job that those publishers should be doing. What they should be doing is they should have teams for all these platforms. Really, the lead platform for all of these games should be making dedicated versions for every single platform they're going to. There shouldn't be a need for a port house. The fact that publishers are being so cheap is why port houses exist. They don't want to spend the time on something because they think it's not going to make money for them. Your job as a publisher is to take that risk. That's half of the problem. And nobody is making this conversation. I feel like I'm the only person out here saying this. A publisher's job.
Sakurai was saying that.
Like I'm gonna say it again. A publisher's job is to publish a game. Why are you going to a platform holder saying, "Hey, can you give us money to publish this game?" Is Nintendo going to Capcom saying, "Hey, can we get some money so we can help build this console?"
Nope.
Anybody ever heard that? I don't. Somebody tell. Oh, okay. So Nintendo is not going to ask nobody for money to help them do their job. So why are publishers doing the same thing? It makes no sense to me. And you hear it all the time. Well, if you guys voice yourselves loudly on the internet, or if you do a GoFundMe, then maybe we could publish this game. No, a developer will put a game anywhere if you pay them to. That means you as the publisher need to pay them to do it. And you can't sit here and then complain because, oh, hey, looks like we miss a lot of money. Like, there's almost 120 million Switches out there. We could have sold our game to one of those 120 million people. You know, like that kind of would have been some money for us. Like, it's your job as a publisher. Why won't you do your job? That's the thing. So
why are you asking me to do work?
Yeah, and if you don't want to pay for these games to go there, then say that. So when somebody interviews you and say, "Hey, look, why isn't this game coming to this system?" We don't want to pay for our team to do that. All this talking around where our focus and it's not in our wheelhouse, and that platform is kind of more for it. Just say the truth. Say what Cliff Blazinski said out loud. We cannot compete with Nintendo on their hardware. If we put Gears to War next to Splatoon, we lose. Just tell the truth. That's kind of like, I mean, that just is what it is. But they don't want to do it. So Chronicle over here killing everybody. Let's go.
I'm gonna tell my mama on Chronicle. Anyway,
she's like, you're Lego pieces. I'm going to play with you. I'm gonna tear you apart and put you back together. It's great.
I will say this: if you're a villain, can you please get some dental insurance? You control time and your teeth are jacked up.
Hey man, that's how they do. That's every
like
villain.
Gingivitis is the number one cause of all tooth decay.
Hey man, they're like toothbrush. What is that? Like,
I'd play Gears of War on Switch if I could use Isabel from Animal Crossing.
I honestly think that
I think Bethesda would do that mess if I think they would do it if it was allowed.
I think Gears would have been cool on Wii U, to be honest with you.
I mean, with the but then you have gyro and people be complaining that it's cheating.
I'm just like, if you're playing through the main campaign and you running and stuff, and then you're looking, you got like a little live map below you or whatever, and then you're hearing chatter, you got a radio and all this kind of stuff going in your hand. That'd be an immersive experience, man. Like, people don't know how much of a difference Batman Arkham City Armored Edition was. Like, the amount of detail that was added to that game, like, that was a next generation experience. Like, that really was. That was the goal of the system, to be honest with you. There was just no other game published by WB on Wii U that would do that again. They had already given up and said, we're not going to spend that money.
Well, I don't think it was that. I think they just, because it wasn't, oh, God dang, is he doing that crap again? It was one of those situations where because the games were making money. It wasn't like they weren't. So they can't say they weren't making money because they weren't.
They can't say they didn't know how it worked because it was there in the launch games. So magically you don't know how to do it in the second game in the series? Like, that's just strange to me. Like, Call of Duty Black Ops 2 was amazing. And then now you get another Call of Duty game and you're like, well, we don't know what to do with the second screen. Like,
and then the killer of that was Ghost, where they had already got in trouble for copying their own maps. Yeah.
So, like, why would you not? It's so weird to me. That whole scenario should have been a wake-up call to gamers that the press isn't your friend.
Yeah.
And these publishers are not your friend. Like, buy whatever games you want to, but don't think that any individual publisher has your best interest in mind. They have their own agendas, and usually they're profit-driven more than anything else. They know that if they keep Nintendo at bay, they won't corner the market because they can't compete with their software. So if their software is on there in addition to everybody else, that's essentially antitrust without antitrust, because who's not going to want to play Nintendo games? And if you go to that, you go buy those Nintendo games and they're like, oh, all the other games are here too. I guess I'll play those. So they have to drive the narrative or come up with other excuses for you not to play there.
Okay, so, let's go on and talk about the elephant in the room then. Soul Calibur.
That's just interesting topic. But yeah, we already discussed that one. It's
just heartbreaking.
More legal than anything though, because we all saw what came out last week with the whole the leak of Sony contracts and all the other kind of stuff.
Oh yeah, right? that stuff.
So you have a non-compete clause. And so the crazy thing is, this wasn't Sony's idea. This originally started back in the old school ruthless Nintendo days, back when they were them and Sega. And then once Nintendo was like, well, it kind of doesn't really matter because we have first party games too. So people will still come over here and we'll still make our money, so it doesn't matter anymore. So once they went to Super Nintendo, they didn't really care about that anymore. Well, Microsoft jumped in with Sony in the 6th generation. They're like, we'll do it. They're like, hey, if it's going to come to Xbox, it better be just as good or better than PlayStation. Also, don't make a Nintendo version.
which I always found that to be weird. Like, why would you even say that?
Yeah.
But I did. Then you hear the thing with who was it? Peter Moore talking about, oh yeah, we started the console wars, but we started it to bring gaming together. No, you didn't. No, you
that
didn't.
whole system. They were literally saying they were going to kill Nintendo. Nintendo will be dead within a year. That was their goal.
Yeah, because that's when who was it? Peter Molyneux came out and said, "I will never underestimate Nintendo ever again."
So some dude actually had the picture of the actual contract, the letterhead or whatever, and Microsoft owned it. They're like, okay, we'll make it part of our history, and they made a whole collage and everything of Microsoft history before the Xbox launched or whatever. And it ended up, I don't think it made it into the documentary. They talked about it, but they didn't show a picture of it. But Microsoft actually has, ever since it went viral or whatever, Microsoft has a picture of the actual letter of them saying, hey, Nintendo, please come be a publisher and developer for us. Like, they were not joking. They really did that too. And of course, Nintendo laughed. But and the rest is history. So,
well, I know about the whole Tokyo visit.
Yeah, they visited too, but they had an actual letterhead. I'm like, they were not. They put it on paper. It's okay if in talks or whatever y'all have that, but they put it on paper. They were not playing like lawyer style letterhead. Please come do things for us.
Yeah.
Also, you will work for us, and you will never make consoles again. Like, what?
I mean, but if that's what you're used to, if that's what you're used to, you're gonna say that. I think Dark Boy has a question. What would it do if it did release like next year? What would it start with? Probably be either Metroid Prime 4 or Mario Odyssey 2.
I'm starting to ask the question. If Switch came out, if a new Switch came out right now, and it was called Switch, like it's in the same ecosystem and all that, and it supported 8K ray tracing and all that, what changes?
But it doesn't have water though. It can't do 4K if it doesn't have. It can't do ray tracing if it doesn't have water.
I'm saying at this point, I think Nintendo would be dumb to say, hey, look, this is our new system. Also, and it's the same ecosystem as Switch, same SDK, all that kind of stuff or whatever. It just does higher resolution or whatever with ray tracing or whatnot, right? And what we're gonna do is make games exclusive to the new system. I don't think that's happening this time. So I'm almost to the point where I'm like, it kind of doesn't matter. I think the only people that would do the whole exclusive on whatever the new Switch would be third parties. I really think that's what it would be. I don't think Nintendo would do that because it's too easy now that you don't even have to make the API anymore. NVIDIA is, and their whole goal is we're making sure all our stuff is same across the board. So if you have that, it doesn't matter what the specs are at that point. You're coding you have one code base, and that's NVN.
Yeah, that's true.
So like at this point, I'm like, what? Everybody's saying all this and they're so excited about it and all that, but I'm like, I don't think anything changes unless it's a true console successor and it's completely different, like a Wii U or what have you, like a completely different concept or Wii or whatever. Unless it's something drastically different like that, I don't see a reason for Nintendo to make exclusive games for it. It would just be a Switch home console, I guess.
I guess you could say that.
Yeah, because I mean that would be the only reason to. And nobody's gonna play 8K in their hand.
No.
So what 1080p on the go maybe like
you'll go blind if you do that.
Yeah, 1080p on the go. If you can't do 1440p now, you can't read.
Yeah. Like it would not be one of those situations. It would not be very. It would not be very useful for people to have that close to their face.
Honestly, we're kind of seeing it now. Look at the struggle that Sony and Microsoft are having right now. They can't. how do you differentiate between these platforms now?
You don't.
Everybody's still buying PS4 games. Like that's the truth. And I mean, to Sony's credit, like, can't nobody find a PS5, so nobody's really out here trying to. Can't nobody buy PS5 games if the only systems are for people that are trying to resell PS5s. Nobody's trying to resell PS5 games, just the system. So there's obviously going to be some type of disparity there with regard to availability. So I guess it kind of makes sense at the end of the day, but I think that's a problem too, because Sony's got to make money back some type of way, and if they're making money from PS4 software instead of PS5 software, that's kind of scary.
I mean, just depends on how it works out for them.
Yeah, I mean, that could be profitable, but then at some point they'll say, "Why are we printing these discs?" And then it'll be future PS5 consoles will only be digital, and they won't even report the sales anymore, because if they do, then people will be like, "Man, dude, only 1 million copies sold on PS5 and 10 sold on PS4."
Yep.
So that'd be one of those things, and I don't know. I'm hoping Nintendo doesn't go down that rabbit hole, but the Switch is really popular. I don't think, and if you come out with a new Switch and it's backwards compatible and all the software is the same across the board, like it's kind of going to be the same problem. People with an OG Switch like me is just like, why can't I still use that? I'm going to still use that too. And there's no need for me to buy a new game if you're going to, quote unquote, upgrade me to the 4K version if I already have the base game. So, and now you have a software sales issue. So I think it's got to be something different. And if it's not something different, I don't know. I don't think anything changes, to be honest with you, especially with regards to how they make the games. So I don't know. That's just my little 2 cents. But that's just from a common sense standpoint. I don't really see, short of something we're not thinking about right now, because you know how Nintendo likes to give you stuff you didn't know you needed.
Yeah.
Short of something like that happening, I don't. That dude is ultra blocking right now.
I know. I'm like, bruh, cut me some slack here.
Strongest shield in the world. It's like he quick shielded like 10 times, and somehow it got back bigger every time.
Like, how is he doing this?
Yeah, that's an invincible shield.
Yeah, gotta love Mars. But yeah, I have no idea what they got planned for next, but I'm hoping that they kind of go back a little bit to some of the stuff that was on the Wii U. I would love for the Miiverse to come back.
Mm-hmm.
I would love for that to come back, but I think a lot of people would love for that to come back.
I would too.
Because it's just, you had your own social media site.
Yep.
Strictly for the games. So, and then as soon as they got rid of it, everybody started wanting it to come back. I'm like, wait a minute, y'all did all this stuff. That's the other thing that actually upset me was when in the 8th gen, you had a whole backward compatibility. You could play everything they had that was available to play. We don't want that. We want new games. Microsoft says Game Pass. Oh man, this is great. So
now
we can do game preservation. Wait, what?
So let's use English, right? Game preservation. To preserve, meaning that we're going to keep it for a future date, because currently right now we can't keep it for a future date. What game is that? Like, there's obscure games, there's MMOs that are defunct now. I talk all the time about like games like Weapon Lord and some of the old Data East games from back in the day that they're in publisher hell right now because we don't know who they belong to. Games like that are lost to time because one company owns the code, another company owns the publishing rights, another company owns the IP rights. There are games with situations that are worse than GoldenEye right now, just sitting out there floating, and nobody's talking about that. They're talking about Nintendo games. Nintendo is still an active company. They've been around for damn near over 200 years now at this point. So, well, it ain't 2085, but over 100 years plus they've been around. So, and I'm trying to figure out what games does Nintendo not still have the code for? What is lost? What can they not remake and resell for you? What game do you have that does not work anymore? Like my NES still works right now. Like if we're gonna preserve games, and that's my thing, because what they're actually talking about is probably some obscure third party game, which at that point you need to go to the third party and talk to them and, hey, what happened to your studio? I need that code because we're trying to preserve this game. It has nothing to do with the platform holder. So that's the whole thing. Like, not like Gwen said, Nintendo opening their own museum. Like they're reselling you your games. Like, this is the second or third time they're reselling their games to you. So you already had backwards compatibility, GameCube backwards compatibility. Now you had Wii backwards compatibility. As far as preserving the need to be able to play those games or whatever, so your discs are actually worth something, right? So you can actually still play them. And then they're like, well, you know what? Now we got virtual consoles. So if you bought those games, you still have them. They still work. They're still there. They're not lost to time. They're still on your system. They still work. Turn on that system and play them. And they're like, well, there's people that aren't born yet that won't be able to buy these games. You can buy a pre-owned console with all those games on it.
Yeah, that's the other thing. I've never understood.
That's the answer to that.
Because
they need to be able to go and rebuy them. Oh, okay. I'm pretty sure Nintendo will, and then you'll complain that they're selling it.
Yeah,
and they're milking it. Which one is it? They sold me Mario 64 8 times. Oh, okay, then don't buy it 8 times. Like, when they preserve it, it's a problem. They're milking it. When they don't preserve it, or they don't, quote unquote, re-release it 50 million times or whatever, then it's like, oh, it's lost the time. Like, bro, like, no, stop. They put an obscure Fire Emblem game out on Switch, like, and people were complaining about that. Like, dude, they care about their stuff. They will bring it back. And if anybody owned a Wii or a Wii U in Japan, there's all kind of obscure games that were on Virtual Console on there. So if that's what you're worried about,
yeah, you're worried about the wrong thing, buddy.
Yeah. If you're worried about that, what's your Nintendo ID?
Yeah.
Oh, I ain't got one. Oh, okay.
Oh, you mean like the people that claim they play Xenoblade Chronicles X?
Mm-hmm.
On the Wii U?
It's whatever the default for Simu is. I don't know.
Yeah. The people that played but they're constantly saying they want it on the Switch, even though Monolith has came out like 3 times and said, look, it'll cost way too much money and it won't be as intuitive because that game was made for the Wii U. And nobody wants to.
I'm just gonna say this. Everybody, so behind me, I got like one of the Nintendo, I guess, the NES Classic Edition. Like, game preservation. Is there game preservation? Like, they're getting all the way down to, they're going to show you obscure systems that they made and putting NES games on them.
Yep.
Game preservation, system preservation. What are we doing? Like, how is it even a conversation at this point? That is my real long rant for that. And nobody really has an answer. And then it becomes a rhetorical argument, and now it's all about ego. And what's the last word you said? That last word was wrong. No, bro. If they don't preserve stuff, why am I able to hold on to all this stuff that they just resold that you said doesn't exist?
Yeah.
Why am I still able to play old games on my console? That console is it's not linked to a server. If I turn it on, it works.
Yep.
You playing with my girl? Oh God.
I'm trying to piss off the Xenoblade 2 haters.
Man, bruh, she's a goddess. Numa, my nuclear weapon. Then you got it with the short hair and the long hair. Let's go. It's a game preservation of the fraud because every time Nintendo upload a game to NSO, people get upset because that's not the game they want. Yeah, that, and they're like, "Well, I'm not going to pay for Nintendo Switch Online. It's not worth it to me." Game preservation, though.
But you on you're on Mario Kart every Monday.
Yeah. So you playing it? You playing the Mario Kart somehow? Oh, it's my friend's account. Okay. Cool story.
Somebody paid for it.
Yep.
And I don't know why people hating on your boy. Was it the guy? Dang it! Everybody's favorite Prince. What's his name? Ah! He called me. Buddy from Zeke.
Oh yeah, you can't hate on Zeke, man. It's shining eye of justice, man.
I've actually finally got that mode, dude. I actually finally got it.
Yep, and it's the best. Here's the thing, dude. He's a Leftarian, so he's a descendant of Adam, bro. He is a descendant of Adam. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if he's just a weird incarnation of Rex that kind of failed. Especially if you play Xenoblade Chronicles 3. It wouldn't surprise me if that's the case. And he seems to know way too much about his own existence in the world. And he does that same old thing too with the whole fourth wall break, stare at the camera. Hey, I'm gonna give you this message. Man, that dude did not want to die. Okay.
I know. Die already. I should have used Mithra. God dang it. Oh, never mind. Did the right one. Ooh, a scythe.
Got him.
Ping pong, ping pong.
Yeah,
Oh, come on, I missed. All right, whatever.
Yeah, so I don't what is there when people say that stuff, it's like, oh man, Nintendo's bad at game preservation. Oh, okay, what game are you trying to preserve? That's my thing. What magical game is out there that's missing?
Because I do think you had a point. I think it's third-party games that they're talking about. They're not talking about first-party.
Yeah. And at that point, I'm like, how is that Nintendo's responsibility? Why don't you get at that third-party company? That is a really bad camera angle for her win pose. Okay. They are not playing. They put the fan service in Smash. Okay.
Well, that's the thing. Well, remember, because people got mad at Sakurai for about the whole mod thing situation, but he had a point because he's not gonna not put the stuff that's in the game. And one of my things is the whole me bouncy thing. He's not gonna. Sakurai loves gaming too much.
Babies.
Yeah,
she's like, I want babies.
Sakurai's too much of a gamer to not put it in there. So he ain't. And he did give Bayonetta biker shorts, and he gave the stockings to Pyra and Mithra, but that was stuff they could change and not really.
Yeah, it's a choice too.
Yeah, you can't really do that with mine.
Yeah,
especially if you watch some damn movies.
Man, she's borderline a streetwalker.
Talk about thirsty.
That's a strange choice of attire there, young lady.
Yeah.
And you kill people for a job? Okay.
She give him a heart attack.
Yep. Trinell said Mr. Makers on NSO. Yes. You troublemakers. Let's go. That was a great game. It was, to me, that was a better platformer than Yoshi's Story. And I kind of like Yoshi's Story.
Yoshi's Story wasn't too bad.
Mr. Makers was good, though. It was good, and it was Japanese. It was so Japanese.
I will say this: I do miss Gauntlet.
Oh yeah, you like Gauntlet? Yeah, Gauntlet. I liked Goemon. Goemon was good too. That game, that was like playing an anime. It was pretty good. But yeah, I like it's just amazing to me. Like people like, oh, Nintendo and the whole game preservation thing. Like, what are you playing right now?
Yeah.
This is the greatest archive of gaming history. I don't think I've ever seen anything like this in one game. Like it's just a celebration of all of the best known franchises in gaming. All in one game, and they somehow are able to fight each other in the same way, and it isn't screwed up. Like I don't know how else better to celebrate the history of games.
There isn't a way to do it.
Somehow I'm gonna have to get off my soapbox. Somehow I'll turn this into a shower cast with their rant. But I really hate it, man. I hate it. And then the majority of people talking about it though are people that use emulators. And I'm like, you all on this PC emulating stuff, and you ain't never talking about all the games on the system you're using to emulate that are gone and lost to time, and you'll never be able to play again. There are exclusive PC games you will never see again. Like they're gone. MMOs you'll never see again. Text-based games you'll never see again. Old, like, indie pinball games you'll never see again that are lost to time. If anybody's bad about that, if any one platform is bad about that, y'all need to holler at Microsoft. I guess they are responsible for all the third parties on Windows as well. So they need to call everybody up to make sure every single game is available on Microsoft Windows. So as soon as you sign in with your surely paid for a licensed copy of Windows 10 or Windows 11, you get all the games that ever came out for Windows. Every version of Windows in history.
I think Ryu finna beat me, man. Yeah, I killed myself. And now you want to give me a freaking hammer.
He made you jump.
Whew. Bring your little dumbass over here.
He was about it. He took a hammer and was like, my defense is stronger. That's kind of done with that, right? But that's just kind of where I'm at on that, man. Y'all know, you know.
Yeah, well, whatever. I lost. So
like, what do you think? I guess if you were to say, "Hey, look, I want to preserve a game because I'm really worried about this game not being ever available again," like, what would that be? To be honest with you, I'll tell you one genre or one platform that's really, really scarce, and people should be worried about. But if you got one, you tell me.
If there was anybody, it would probably be like the stuff that all the stuff that Midway had.
Yeah,
because that's stuff that like a lot of people can't find the licenses for. Midway and Acclaim.
Midway, the licensee stuff that Acclaim did. Bally, when Bally and Midway were once a partnership. Yeah. Williams, when they partnered with Williams for some stuff, like the 90s, the late 80s and early 90s were really weird. So it's a lot of games like that you probably won't see again because of all the licensing issues. Like Revolution X, like where does that exist? I don't know if anybody tried to port that or not, but like
I don't think anybody tried to.
At one point, there was a home conversion of that game. It was originally an arcade game by the same people that made Mortal Kombat or what have you. But like just stuff like that, just weird offshoots like that you haven't really heard of in a long time. So yeah, just stuff like that to me, like just arcades in general, really. Like you say what you will of MAME, and they kind of collect whatever or what have you. And it's pretty good, but the only problem with MAME is the varying degrees of success depending on which emulator you have, which version of what ROM you have, and which version of what EEPROM and firmware you have for said ROM. And then you have games that came out that were a little bit more advanced in the late 90s and early 2000s, and now they have hard drives or they have CD-ROMs or Laserdiscs or whatever in addition to the actual board, and all that has to work together. So now you need disk images and you need the ROM to work with it, and the disk image has to match the ROM so nothing's off. So you'll have varying degrees of success depending on how that goes. I don't think there's a commercial all-in-one solution for anything like that. And there should be. They're trying to do, they're reselling the arcades now, but these are onesie twosies instead of, like William saying, these are all our greats on this one box, go.
Yeah, because that's kind of hard to do, though.
Yeah, it is. But if you nail down the licensing and then you sell that to people, I think at that point, it will probably offset the cost. Because I would imagine there would be a lot of retro people willing to go out and spend that kind of thing.
Oh yeah. The retro market is huge. So because I think like starting with like the 6th gen, it's not as hard. But when you go below the 6th gen, that's when it gets hard. Yeah, Trinell, I would love for them to do a Baten Kaitos on a remaster, but I don't.
Nintendo will have to buy that, I think, at that point, because it's a Nintendo property now. And then the original game is now called Bandai, but the second game is all Nintendo.
Yeah. So here's the thing and the only reason why I know this because I looked it up when you got told that you were spreading misinformation. Nintendo has the money to do that, and not lose sleep, because they have the cash on hand to be like, okay, I'll just straight buy it out from Namco. But I don't blame Nintendo, especially like as far as like the whole Square Enix Kingdom Hearts situation with that whole cloud situation. I don't blame them for not doing it. No, you should have been put this out. If you had put it out on the Wii U, you wouldn't have this problem right now. I don't blame them for not spending that money because once again, that's one of those situations where you could have made a whole lot of money had you not ignored. You probably would. Nothing's going to stop them from being bleeding money because they have to make these $300 million games and not make their money back, and then make an anime movie and an OVA and you got to make all the stuff for the special collector's editions that you still have hard times moving sometimes. So
who said that was okay? Like who? Okay,
who signed off on it? I don't know.
So Call of Duty, I understand because at least you get your money back from the multiplayer.
Yeah,
but
get your money back from that.
God of War, bro, like you're not gonna.
Final Fantasy ain't making money, ain't making money like that no more.
How many times are you gonna play? How many times are you gonna play through God of War, PS4? How many times are you gonna play through it? Really, to be honest with you.
Good point.
To where it's even worth it, and not just it's worth it. We made money, we made profit off of it. That each and every artist that made every inch of that game, that at least one gamer sees all of it.
Yeah.
Because you could completely walk past half of that stuff that people spent, tens of thousands of dollars on to design one unique tree over here somewhere and nobody sees it in the game. It's just there. This is the kind of stuff I'm talking about. I'm like, it's just so frustrating to me that that's the type of things that that happen. And then you got other games that have bigger worlds. They may not look as quote unquote next gen as you would like. But I think that's why Nintendo made that decision to say, you know what, we're not just gonna buy this franchise. We're gonna buy the studio that made that franchise. And that was probably one of the best decisions they ever made. They said, come on, Monolith, we'll take you.
Yeah. I mean, I wish they would have did that with Rare, but hey,
yeah. I mean, but Rare, they would have had to take the Stamper Brothers too, and I don't think, for whatever reason, they were being stuck on stupid then at the time, and it obviously in retrospect, they wish they would have not taken the money. Microsoft's money,
yeah, because that people love to bring up that interview, but they never get to the part of the interview where they say they regret taking the money because they were like, yeah, we had a rivalry with EAD, but they made us better and we made them better. I'm like, yeah, Y'all made awesome games. We probably would have been on Perfect Dark 3 by now. Jet Force Gemini 4, Killer Instinct 5.
To Trinell right now in the chat. I appreciate you, bro. Like he mentioned one of the goats. That game.
Brave Fencer
man,
Musashi.
Boy.
Well, hold on. Are we talking about that PS2 remake that was slow as hell, or are we talking about the
OG PS1 game?
Okay, good.
Let's go.
Good, yeah. Because that game felt fast. The other ones felt
RPG
slow.
combo goodness.
Yeah. That was one of those. I don't know why, because the second one, it looked great and it had that fire. The marketing for it was fire. But when you actually played it, that game was slow. It didn't feel fluid at all, and that kind of like made me upset.
Yep. So, how bad do you want your new art style? How bad do you want those next gen graphics?
My thing is they should just do a cell shade and call it a day.
Yeah.
It's fantasy. It's not supposed to be real, so cell shade and call it a day. Because at this point, Square Enix has an issue where they love to do all this hyper realistic stuff and then they don't make the money back.
Yeah.
But they've found lightning in a bottle with HD 2D, but that works for some stuff, not for everything.
True.
So like I said, I'm looking forward to Dragon Quest 3 HD 2D because that's gonna be interesting. Live Alive. If you haven't had a chance to play Live Alive, bro,
I need to play that. I need to play that.
That game is awesome. I'm like, yeah, mad props to Team Asano, and they've made a lot of good stuff. RPG Factory. They made Oninaki, Lost Sphere, I Am Setsuna. Those are awesome games, especially Oninaki. I love Oninaki. It's one of my favorite games they did. So they got teams at Square that can do stuff. It's just, they stuck on the hyper realism, and I think like that's been killing them because they're not making the money back like that.
I'm just like bring back these AA games. And I'm gonna say AA. I'm not gonna say B. Like Child of Light was a great release.
Dude, Child of Light is still one of my favorite games, period.
That's a really good game.
And it's only 12 hours?
Yeah, it's not even that long. Yeah. But it's infinitely replayable. If you didn't have that many games and Child of Light was one of them, you could replay that game to your heart's content because there's so many different things to do in different ways to play that game. And
there's so much stuff to find in there too. And it's not really a collectathon, but there is a lot of stuff to find in there. So that game, and I understand why Ubisoft went the way they went. I just think that they really should have did a second game. They really should have, because they made a lot of money off that. They
really should have.
Crap ton of money off that. So
that game was great. Another game that was really well done on Wii U. Mm-hmm. But I mean, that game is good anywhere, to be honest with you. But it's a really good game.
Phantom Breaker.
All of the girls.
Yeah, Phantom Breaker. Drone Crush is gonna love this.
Of course he is. Of course he's gonna love it. All right. When he sees a spoiler character in the post game of Xenoblade Chronicles 3, he's probably gonna freak out.
Yeah, he's gonna lose it
because that's his girl. But
it
is what it is. That's his girl.
That's too funny. But yeah, there's so much stuff, because I'm still wondering what's happened with that Time Splitters.
Man, Time Splitters.
There was supposed to have been a 4, and then they was supposed to be doing all 3 HD remakes. I don't know what happened to it.
They remade 13 instead, and it didn't turn out that well.
First of all, 13. I don't even remember 13 like that. I don't even remember playing 13.
Was 13? I have it on GameCube. It's decent. It's a decent shooter. Okay. It's just it's stylized in a different type of way.
Well, I know because what got me was the cell shade, but at the time I was playing Eternal Darkness, Wind Waker, and Smash. I wasn't caring about nothing else.
Then you had actual time splitters, too, as well. That was,
and then I had Tales of Symphonia. Like, you think and Beautiful Joe? You think I was caring about some 13?
Yeah, 13 was a different. So at that time, I mean, pretty much it was so many GameCube games coming out. Like a lot of people thought that game didn't really that system didn't have a deep library. Man,
it had a deep library,
and it was so crazy because game stores didn't know what to do with them because they would like order a game and they're like, well, I don't think that many people are going to buy it, and then a bunch of people would not buy it day one, and then people wouldn't buy it day one, then they come back like 3 months later, like, hey, where's this game? And they're like, we don't have it. So they rush to go try to find used copies so they can make margin on that game. And then you go in the store and you're like, oh, so you don't have any new copies, but you got 19 used copies. Like,
yeah,
come on.
That's when GameStop was like getting on my nerves.
Yeah, I'm like, you didn't even have 19 new copies ever. So how did you get 19 used ones? And they're like, oh, well, people brought them back in from where? Like, you're the only GameStop in like a 50-mile radius.
Yeah.
Like, how did you? Like that kind of stuff is, and I know they do that because, you got to move stuff from store to store. If there's one store that pushes a lot of used games, and that store is making profit, you feed them those games so they can continue to sell them. Which is crazy because I would just be like, why aren't the other stores selling used games enough to where we can make profit? But whatever. You go wherever you can go. Oh yeah, he's gonna love this game.
Yeah. There is a chibi game that was a side-scrolling beat 'em up, and I did not know they made a fighter for it. That's why I picked it up. I'm like, this is a fighter. I'm like, cool.
So I'm wondering if he if he bought Blade Strangers because
I love that game actually.
Yeah, because it had all the people from the Code of Princess in there. Like I was like, oh god, this is definitely bad for certain individuals.
Like that game is not great. They needed some more time to polish on it, but it was a fun game. It's a fun game. Blade Strangers is a fun game because a lot of people don't. I know some of those characters from like some anime stuff that I watch, but yeah, the Code of Princess people are in it, and so yeah, it's fun. It's fun. The only other thing, because I know and we've gone on 2 hours, so let me do this last little bit that I did want to talk to you about, like, because I know I always talk about this with Andre when we have a chance, and that's that whole. So we got all these amiibos. I'm like, shouldn't they had this amiibo tap thing on Wii U? I never liked how they did that. I was thinking Subspace Emissary standalone, but use your amiibos as your things to go through to record your player information.
I was saying just do a Mario Party like that, and instead of like you have those as your board pieces.
Yeah.
Like I don't understand why that didn't happen. That seems like the easiest, like turn them into Monopoly. Like,
I mean,
that's the easiest thing to do.
I guess but that probably would have been better on the Wii U though.
Yeah.
Because you would have actually been able to like actually do something with that, like with the actual gamepad.
Ooh. Combo's nice.
Yeah, that was nasty.
Yeah, so for like an Amiibo festival or basically a Nintendo Land, but insert Amiibo, like it's like Nintendo Land needed Amiibo.
Yeah, because that's another game too that probably should get some love as Nintendo Land. That game was criminally underrated, but it did need like I think that's one of those games that could have
gamepad. So.
But that's another game that could have used from online. Could use some online love. And I get why they did that because it was trying to do the whole asynchronous gaming. So I understand that. But if that's a game that should come back, I think if they would have brought back Nintendo Land as opposed to Nintendo Switch Sports, it probably would have been better received.
Yeah.
It probably would have been better received.
I'm wondering, like, And by a supplemental computing device, I mean it's literally two systems in the box. One is just in the dock.
Yeah.
And you have your Wii U experience actually. And then whenever you want to take the system off the dock, it's your Switch, and whether you have it there or not. And then if you don't want to put your Switch on there and just play whatever, without the Switch in the dock, you can still play games. I think that would be an expensive project, but I think that's really what everybody wants. You just want to be able, no matter what you're doing, be able to play the same game and have a seamless transition from TV to TV. I think that's really what everybody wants. The ideal situation would be just put it in the damn TV, but nobody's doing
that.
Do that.
Yeah, nobody's gonna do that. That'll cause, because then you got to make a deal with TV manufacturers, and they they kind of almost got in trouble with whatchamacallit when they did the 3D, when they did the 3DS, because it proved that you didn't have to have them glasses. And
oh yeah, and y'all still need glasses for these TVs. You don't even need that.
Yeah. And then I think one of the companies actually did the sliding panel, so you didn't have to have glasses over in Japan, and that just killed it.
Yep. So, yeah, 3D kind of came and went, but like,
well, 3D was
that was a gaming fad too. Like they were trying to sell game, they were trying to sell like Mortal Kombat and stuff with 3D because
the
3D.
Problem is, like, okay, you go to the movie theater, you saw a movie in 3D and it looked great and you loved it. It don't translate well to gaming. It just don't. Like, even the 3DS, as much as I loved it, most time I cut it off.
I think it only works well. Honestly, if it was something like how like Oculus is or something, it would have to be that type of situation where you're actually quote unquote immersed in the world for it to work well. I don't think 3D translates well to a flat screen because your perspective will always change being a human,
and unless it's strapped to your face. You have to be literally in the center.
Yep. So it's got to be strapped to your face. I don't see of another way to do it. Or maybe they do the Google Glass type situation. Maybe that could work, but where you don't have to worry about, because the whole thing about having an Oculus Rift or PlayStation VR or whatever is like you can't see anything else around you. That is like, I'm not gonna say it's extremely unsafe, but you're not aware of what's, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're playing a game and then you stand up or whatever, and then you end up tripping over something in your room. Those kind of things. Just a weird scenario. Imagine people walking around with a virtual boy strapped to their face like this.
Yeah.
Just doesn't sound like a good scenario.
Well, Trinell, the reason why I had to cut mine off is because I have an issue with my left eye, so I can't look at 3D like that for long periods of time. So most times I have it cut off. But yeah, on Samus Returns, it looks great. Majora's Mask looks real good. Ocarina of Time, it's hit or miss. Dead or Alive Dimensions, it actually looks good on that too.
Yeah.
It looks real good on Dead or Alive Dimensions. But like most of the games that I have with it, I can't like really look at it just because of my issue with my left eye. So
3D Land used it pretty well. Like you could really tell, like your depth perception was increased in that game because you're kind of pseudo 3D, but you could still kind of tell how far you needed to jump to make it from one platform to another. So it was kind of, you didn't need a situation like in Mario 3D World. You constantly having to rotate the camera to reorient yourself to see where you need to be. And I think that kind of worked pretty well for that game. I don't know if that's just smart programming or that's more of that's actually a good use case.
I think that's an EAD thing.
Yeah. That might have been, hey, this is why we built the 3DS, maybe. Yeah. And then they, other games came out before that one. But that kind of worked pretty well. And there's a bunch of other games. Like I kind of like the effect in games that don't really take advantage of it like they should. Just little subtle things like was it the
Kid Icarus Uprising when you did it in there?
It was a Mario Luigi game, I think it was, and just little stuff like the text floating just a little bit above, like just seeing that little kind of subtle depth perception, looking down into a screen like that I thought that was kind of cool. That's just a different kind of experience, and you don't have to turn the 3D all the way up for that. You can kind of have it like halfway, and it still gives the same effect. So. I think the big problem about 3DS is making stuff jump out from the screen. It's more of a look into me type device.
I mean, because the best one that did it was Dead or Alive to make it look like he's coming toward the screen.
Yeah. It says Dead or Alive Dimension, surprising, and said and Monster Hunter Ultimate. Yeah, I didn't play Monster Hunter Ultimate on 3DS, so
yeah, I didn't get that one either. But 3D Land was good, but yeah, it's one of those situations. But yeah, because I still play Dead or Alive Dimensions to this day. Would be nice if Koei Tecmo would bring that over to Switch, but we ain't gonna talk about that. But because knowing them, if they did it, they'll charge us $90 for a DLC pack of stuff that we got in game.
Yep.
You
like bikinis, guys? $10 DLC. Like what?
No, not 10. 110.
Oh yeah, you're right. You're right. Yeah, you have to use the new economy post horse armor. There's a new economy now. Inflation. Deal with it.
Yeah. Dark Void, this is Phantom Breaker Omnia. There's a side scrolling beat 'em up called Phantom Breaker. And it's basically a fighting game based off that's in line with that. So, but yeah, I actually like it. It's actually pretty fun. It's a weird. The side scrolling beat 'em up is weird. So I'm just telling you that right now. It's weird in this anime. So just go with it. But it is a fun. I found it fun. If you like beat 'em ups, I think you'll like it. It's one of those situations. I know I got it. I thought I had it. I probably got to re-download it since I got my terabyte.
So they use the same strategy as Code of Princess then?
Yeah, basically, yeah.
They're like, hey, we got a side scroller. Also, we're in a fighting game. Okay.
Yeah, basically. Just to kind of branch it out a little bit.
Yeah.
But all right, folks, that's gonna do it for this one. I hope you guys like this. Let's Talk Live. I'm gonna try to do more of these, preferably on Saturdays. And we'll still have the regular podcast on Sundays. But podcast Sunday, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We will be there. Anything you want to pimp out?
No, Channel A did. I put out a video not too long ago. I'll put out another one soon. And I'll be reviewing stuff now. So y'all get used to that. It's gonna happen. And no shilling, obviously, because we don't do that. So yeah.
All right, so we will see you guys on Sunday. Peace out, peoples.
Later, y'all.